What's up guys, my name is Calvin, and in this video, Jesse and I will show you how to restock your freezer with quality food with a budget in mind, and how to pre-portion them so that you spend less time cooking and more time enjoying your meals. If that sounds good to you guys, follow us into the kitchen and see how we tackle our grocery haul.
Wow, look how empty the freezer is. This is empty. That only has the crab cake and some ground pork back here. And just two flat meat and some chicken wings. In the back is some bacon, some chicken breast. This is all frozen tomato. Wow, it's so empty. And some pork chop. And this one is pretty much empty. This is like our broth. I usually don't even have room for broth in this compartment, but look at this. Wow, time to restock. Right, this is our meat haul. So we got some spare ribs that cut lengthwise in half so I can make a little riblets out of it. And I usually get this whole box of grass-fed lamb, and they usually have lamb rack, lamb leg, and some T-bones, and they make really good dinners. And then we got some tomahawk steak. These are my favorite ones from Costco Business Center. They have these thinly sliced short ribs that you would see at Korean restaurant for galbi, and I make different dishes out of it. And I like it how it have smaller portion like this, and we just cut down the seam, and each of the portion is one dinner for us, and it's plenty. And this is the meat that we came for. We always buy a whole slab of prime cut ribeye, and we cut it into steak size for us. Any thickness that we want, any style that we want. This is like the best bang for your buck. And of course, skin on pork belly. I don't know about other states, but here in California, well, Northern California, only Business Center has the one with skin on. We usually buy a whole slab like this, and we just portion it in the freezer, and we just take it out as we cook. And of course, some ground beef, because it's so easy to cook with pretty much anything. Some pot sticker for quick lunch. I got 2 bags of shrimps. I usually get both size. One is the 21.25, and the other one smaller is 31.40.
Okay, let's prepare the prime rib to be cut later. Here, I'm dapping the meat with paper towels to clean up all the blood. After that, we'll put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes to let it firm up a bit so it will be easier to make clean cuts. Next up, the pork belly. Same thing, I'm going to clean up all the blood with paper towels before cutting it. You know what they say, a sharp knife is a good knife. That, and it also helps to get cleaner cuts.
Okay, so we're gonna cut this big piece into 8 pieces. We'll cut half down here, and then for this half, we're gonna cut half of that. Same thing with this side. This half, we're gonna cut half of that. And once that's done, we're gonna cut half along the lengthwise. That will give us 8 pieces total.
Perfect. While you were doing that, I've been labeling these bags, and we're gonna vacuum seal it.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna vacuum seal each pieces individually.
Don't touch my hand. And just like that, we have 8 portions of pork belly that would last us for months. Okay, now it goes to the freezer.
Now moving on to the spare ribs.
These are the spare ribs that we bought from the market, and they already sliced it lengthwise for us. What we will be doing is to cut these to its individual bone to make riblets later on. So later on when we need to cook, we just take it out. We won't have to start cutting it anymore because it's already cut, and that would speed up the cooking process. So what you can do is look for the bone right here. You can feel it, and just cut between the bones. when you get to the part where there's no more bone, just kind of gauge it to cut it about the same width as the rest of them. So that way, when you cook it, it'll cook evenly.
So for each portion, we're gonna have 2 strips like that. That would pretty much about 1 slab of ribs, and that is enough for us to eat one dinner.
Sounds good.
Okay. Because when you freeze it at one single layer, it's easier to freeze, to store, and to defrost. Just like that, we're done with the riblets. I'm going for the easy one. I just cut them and freeze them. I love having these containers in our freezer. First of all, it helped me separate all the meats that I have, and it's keep it organized. Okay. We still have some of these.
So while we were prepping the pork earlier, we left the prime rib inside the freezer for a little bit to get it hardened up so it'll be easier to cut. It's not completely frozen, so it's just firm. And as you can see, it's a little firm. It's not as soft as it was before we put it into the freezer. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna trim off the 2 ends. We're gonna start with this end first so it'll look nice and straight later on. Okay, so depends on your preference, how thick you want it. For me, I like it a little bit thicker, but Jessie, she likes it a little thinner. So we're gonna compromise the meat in the middle, and we're gonna go with the thick part. That's my compromise. How about like that?
That's really thick.
That's really thick? I was okay.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of butchering your own steak. You can make it to your own.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy a big slab like this, you can cut it to however size or whichever size you prefer. So, since our compromise, we're gonna go with this thickness of a cut right there. There you go, you see that? That's beautiful. Later on we'll trim all the fats off a little bit so it looks nice and beautiful. Alright, so what we're going to do now is going to slice off the fat on these little arrows right here.
To make it pretty.
To make it pretty.
Okay. So I have this bag that label beef fat. So can you put them in here so I can use it to make broth? We don't want to trim all of it because we do want the fat there. So when we cook, the flavor will be there and the meat will be tender. Obviously we won't be eating it, it's just we need the fat to make it tender. This is fat. When we freeze the steak, we want to put them side by side, so when we thaw it, it will be faster. Perfect. And look at this, just like that, we have 2 beautiful steaks. And it's not focused. Right here. Beautiful.
So for the ends of the whole slab, we're going to cut into little cubes so we can make shaking beef out of it.
The lamb-based the easiest one. We just take them out of the box and put them in the freezer. This is the lamb leg. It's like so perfect for some braise. These T-bones are like the best for one pan quick dinner. And we get 8 of them in each boxes, and we eat about 6. So these 2 are from the last box, so now it would be complete dinner. And these racks, there's 2 racks in each package like this, and it's perfect for one dinner. And we get 2 of those. So it's a really good box when we buy it like this. We get a little bit of everything. Let's see if I can fit them all in here. All right, now our lamb is done. The tomahawk is so tall. Perfect.